What's up, everybody? I'm Zanny Cakes, and we are on the Project Diablo 2 open beta, taking a look at all of the skill trees for all of the classes. And in this video, we are going to look at the Sorceress. So we have Project Diablo 2 goes live tomorrow, and some of you may know that there is no global chat on Project Diablo 2 like there is on Path of Diablo. I have set up a Discord server. There's going to be a link in the description below. If you want to swing by, if you're looking for people to play with, looking for just anybody to chat to, or stop by and say hi, we'd love to see you. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the skill trees. So in the cold tree, we have Ice Bolt, pretty standard, does cold damage, slows things down, and then gets huge synergies from Ice Blast and Glacial Spike. And then here we have a new skill for Project Diablo 2, which is Cold Enchant. It enchants equipped weapon of targeted character or minion and adds cold damage to melee weapons, adds 1/3 of the damage to ranged weapons. And then it gets a 25% bonus to cold damage per level of chilling armor. Moving on, we have Ice Blast. Creates a magical sphere of ice that damages and freezes your enemies. This is a hard freeze, it's not just a slowing effect. And then it synergizes from Ice Bolt and Glacial Spike. Frost Nova creates an expanding ring of ice that damages and slows all nearby enemies. We get damage synergies from Ice Bolt and Shiver Armor. With the 16% damage synergies, I think that Frost Nova builds will actually be fairly viable end game. They'd probably be very good for running things like cows. We have Shiver Armor, increases your defense rating and freezes enemies that hit you. Then we get bonus cold damage from Cold Enchant and Chilling Armor. Glacial Spike creates a magical ice comet that freezes or kills nearby enemies. So this one is an AoE hard freeze, and it gets damage synergies from Ice Barrage, Blizzard, and then also gains freeze length from Blizzard. So here we have Blizzard summons massive shards of ice to destroy your enemies. It gets damage synergies from Ice Bolt and Glacial Spike. And then here we have Ice Barrage. It's a brand new skill for Project Diablo 2. Creates a barrage of magical ice lances that damages and slows nearby enemies. It shoots out 3 lances at level 1, and then gets damage synergies from Ice Bolt and Glacial Spike. I think there's going to be some very good builds around Ice Barrage, and I'm excited to see how they work out. We have Chilling Armor, increased defense, and discharges a Blizzard Spike in retaliation against ranged attackers. Damage melee attackers if you are hit. So it gives you damage, or gives you defense, and then it does damage in return. And then also gets damage synergies from Cold Enchant and Shiver Armor. So we have Frozen Orb, which has always been one of my favorite skills in all of Diablo 2. I've always loved Frozen Orb. It's just, I played a Sorceress back before Lord of Destruction ever came out, and Frozen Orb just laid waste to everything, and I've liked it ever since. Creates a magical globe that sprays a torrent of ice bolts to lay waste to your enemies, and it gets damage synergies from both Ice Bolt and Ice Blast. It's nice to see the second synergy in there. And then we have Cold Mastery. So passive increases the damage of your cold attacks by piercing cold resistances, piercing your enemy resistances to cold. So in Vanilla Diablo 2, you just get the minus to enemy resistances. In here, you get both bonus damage and minus enemy resistances. Overall, I think that's a very good change. Moving on to Lightning, we have Telekinesis. Uses the power of your mind to pick up items, use objects, and knock back enemies. Does 1 to 7 lightning damage, and then gets bonus damage from Charged Bolt and Nova. Depending on how the damage scales, that might actually end up doing a whole lot of damage at higher levels. We have Charge Bolt, create multiple randomly directed bolts of electricity, and then gets damage synergies from telekinesis and lightning. And then we have Static Field, now on the first tier, which is kind of interesting. Creates an electrical field that reduces life of nearby enemies, lowers enemy lightning resistance for a short duration. It says it weakens enemies by 25%. That would be 25% of their current hit points. And then at level 1, it also reduces the enemy lightning resistances by 2%. The really cool thing about this is you can actually use static field to break lightning immunities. You no longer have to rely on a mercenary using infinity to break your lightning immunes. You can do it yourself. And that also opens up things like using Crescent Moon on a mercenary that can proc static field. That's another way that you can also break lightning immunes without using infinity. Overall, I think that's a very good change and very beneficial to the Sorceress and really any class that uses lightning damage. So then we have Lightning, creates a powerful lightning bolt to lay waste to your enemies. It gets damage synergies from Charge Bolt and Chain Lightning. We have Nova, creates an expanding ring of lightning to shock nearby enemies, gets damages synergies from Charge Bolt and Telekinesis. We have Teleport, instantly moves to a destination within your line of sight and reduces the spell damage you deal for 1 second. So they kind of nerfed Teleport. Another thing that the tooltip doesn't mention is Teleport in Project Diablo 2 is based off of the lightning faster cast rate breakpoints. So you have to get 117 faster cast rate to cast at 12 frames. Pretty much everybody is familiar with the 105 faster cast rate, and that is actually for 8 frames. So you teleport significantly slower, and then also for 1 second after you teleport, you do half damage. So they kind of, I don't know if I like the double nerf with the slower cast rate and the reduced damage. I think one or the other would have been fine, but that might be changed in the future, or maybe they just simply intend to try and get people to play things that don't teleport. So Chain Lightning creates a bolt of lightning that arcs through several targets. It gets damage synergies from Charged Bolt and Lightning. We have Thunderstorm, summons a deadly thunderstorm that strikes your enemies with bolts of lightning. The delay is 2 seconds, so it just randomly zaps something around you once every 2 seconds. And then you get damage synergies from Lightning and Nova. We have Lightning Mastery. It does not reduce the enemy resistances at all, but it does give you quite a bit more damage. We get a 50% bonus to damage at level 1. And then we have Energy Shield. It creates a magical shield that consumes mana instead of health when you take damage, and it receives bonuses from Telekinesis. So at level 1, without Telekinesis, every 1 damage that Energy Shield absorbs, you actually take 2 damage to your mana. So if Energy Shield absorbs 10 damage, you would lose 20 mana. And then Telekinesis reduces the amount of mana that you lose. If it is on line with vanilla Diablo 2, it is 6.25% per hard point, and eventually you can get it to where if you take 10 damage, you would only lose 7.5 mana. So you can make it more so efficient than what you actually would take in if you didn't have Energy Shield at all. So if you are going to go with an Energy Shield build, you should definitely max out Telekinesis, or you're just going to be running around without any mana. So fire spells, we've got Warmth, increases the rate at which you recover mana and grants passive attack rating. The attack rating is new to Project Diablo 2. It does not have it in vanilla. I like that change as it helps to get attack rating on things like enchant sorceresses. And overall, 1 point in warmth is I I would not build a sorceress without getting at least 1 point in there for the mana regeneration. It's an absolutely awesome skill. We have Firebolt, creates a magical flaming missile, does fire damage, and then gets fairly large synergies from Fireball and Combustion. We have Inferno, creates a continuous jet of flame. Average fire damage 7 to 13 per second, range 2 yards, cost 1 mana per second to channel it, and then it receives damage synergies from Firewall and Blaze. We have Blaze, creates a wall of fire in your wake to scorch your enemies, and it gets damage synergies from Warmth and Firewall. So basically, you just, every time that you move or when you're running around, you just leave a trail of fire behind you that does damage to anything that walks in it. We have Firewall, creates a wall of flame that blocks or burns your enemies. It does quite a bit of damage per second. It just creates a line of fire on the ground and does damage to anything that walks in it. Fireball creates an explosive sphere of fiery death to engulf your enemies and gets damage synergies from Firebolt and Combustion. Fireball has a AoE splash on it, so it actually hits multiple targets and is typically a very strong skill. So something new to Project Diablo 2 is Lesser Hydra. Summons a multi-headed beast of flame that casts Firebolt to reduce your enemies to ashes. And it gets damage synergies from Firebolt and the regular Hydra. Enchant Fire. Enchants equipped weapon of targeted character or minion. Adds fire damage to melee weapons and 1/3 fire damage to ranged weapons. It also gives you bonus to attack rating, which is very nice. You can use both this and the cold version at the same time to make some pretty interesting builds or just be a very good party member to have along with anything that summons like necromancers or druids, or as a boost to any physical character like a whirlwind barbarian or fury druid. So we have another new skill is Combustion, creates an expanding ring of fireballs to engulf your enemies. This is similar to the skill that Diablo uses when he shoots a ring of fireballs out from around him. It's got very large synergies from Firebolt and Fireball. I think that this will be a very strong AoE skill, and I'm very interested to see how it works myself. I'm probably going to go with a either Hydra or Combustion build as soon as I build a Sorceress. We have Meteor, summons a meteor from the heavens to crush and incinerate your enemies. The really cool thing about Meteor is it does both physical damage and fire damage, so you don't have to worry about killing fire immunes as it does physical damage. It gets physical damage synergies from Fireball and Inferno, and then average fire damage per second synergies from Firewall and Inferno. So this can overall be a 100-point build, and I think will be very strong. In Project Diablo 2, they also reduced the fall speed of the meteor itself, and it has a smaller cooldown on it, so I think Meteor is going to be very strong in Project Diablo 2. We have Fire Mastery, increases all damage caused by your fire spells. So we get fire damage plus 20%, and then we also get the minus to enemy resistances in the form of Pierce. I think that that's also a very good change. And then Hydra summons a multi-headed beast of flame that casts Fireball to reduce your enemies to ashes, and it gets synergies from Firebolt and Lesser Hydra. So the Lesser Hydra does the Fire Bolt, which does not do splash damage. The regular Hydra shoots Fireball that actually does splash damage. So overall, I really like the changes to the Sorceress. I like the addition of the Cold Enchant. The Ice Barrage, I think, is going to be very good. The change to Static Field is one of the best changes I think that they have, just because it gives you a option of running lightning before getting an infinity. And then I really like the combustion and Hydra shooting fireball. I think there's going to be a lot of good builds, whether it's Hydra Orb is very popular in Path of Diablo. I think that will be very strong in Project Diablo 2. There's going to be some very good combustion builds, some very good meteor builds. And I think that sorceresses overall will be very strong in Project Diablo 2. They've always been one of my favorite characters. I use them as a season starter pretty much every season. I'm actually going to start something other than Sorceress for Project Diablo 2. It's going to feel weird, and I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we're going to try something other than a Sorceress and see how it goes. So again, swing by Discord, say hi, and good luck, have fun. Hope to see you out there.